Hello.
Hi, welcome to Curious Collection. I'm Will.
I'm Cinnamon.
Today we're going to talk about reproductions, scams,
Knowing your
knockoffs,
business.
how to identify some of those types of products out there that, maybe you're dealing in and you're not realizing that you're getting scammed, and the person that's selling to you doesn't know that they got scammed either.
Yeah.
So over the weekend we went out. We went to a couple of different things. There was a local art fair as well as a curiosity fair or
Oddities.
Oddities, yes. So we had the opportunity to interact with a lot of different vendors, and one of the vendors was selling some nice gemstone jewelry.
Yeah.
All of it was hand set. They had bought all the stuff and they had set it. And my lovely wife here collects jewelry. So
I do.
Why don't you tell us what happened?
So they did. They had some absolutely gorgeous pieces, very large gemstones, which is kind of my jam. So I have it's like pink sapphires and mystic topaz and things like that. So we were looking, and my husband is a very skeptical person. I am much more trusting, and he asked her, because they were such large gemstones and the prices were very affordable. So he asked her, are these lab created? Oh, no. I wouldn't buy lab created. These are all natural gemstones, which is a little, suspicious to us because we do deal in gemstones. I sell fine jewelry on the site as well. So we typically, when we're buying gemstones, we have my testing kit with us, which...
Right, because we intentionally go out to buy this type of product, and, we're buying it for the business. Now, we were just taking a casual Sunday off and, just having fun with the day, and came across an opportunity we weren't expecting to encounter, and, it seemed too good to be true.
Yeah, it did. But she assured us that no, these were actual gemstones. So,
very, very nice little old lady, grandma.
Right. Yes.
Yep.
And she did. She had her grandchild there with her and her husband. And so we said, okay. So we bought 3 pieces. They were all pendants. Absolutely beautiful pieces. One of them was a natural emerald, which you can spot a natural emerald because of the inclusions, because of the way that, just like rubies. So that one I was pretty confident in. And so the other ones I was like, okay, well, I bought a pink sapphire and the other one was a mystic topaz. So
just to add a note, we were actually on a cruise, stopped at a port in the Caribbean, and purchased a ruby and a mystic topaz a couple of years ago, and we didn't know until we purchased our Presidian gem tester that the mystic topaz
was glass. Yes,
so,
and I bought it at a gem store. Like, we bought it at a jewelry store that was on, in the islands, and we had no idea that it was a that it was glass.
Very expensive piece of glass.
So we came home, and the first thing I did was I shined the UV light, because I know that pink sapphire shines brilliantly under UV light. Nothing. So I was like, dang it. So I did. I took out my Presidium and I tested them, and the emerald was real, but the other 2 pieces were glass. So then, I don't like conflict. I didn't want to have to go back to this person, but we spent a couple $100.
Right. And what's worse, conflict with your husband or conflict with a total stranger?
So we did. I grabbed my kit so that I could show her that, that they weren't what they were. But and so the whole 10 minutes to go back to the craft fair, I'm trying to breathe and be like, I hate conflict. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't want to have to be that person, who is so I grabbed my gem kit and we went back there, and I approached her, and I made sure there was nobody else around, of course. And I told her, I said, I'm so sorry. I just want to show you something. I said, this is, and she had no idea what the gem tester even was. So I explained, this is a gem tester, and I just want to show you that, the pieces that you gave me, the emerald is real. However, these other two pieces are not. So she was very, she had no idea.
Yeah, I genuinely think that she was devastated. You could see like just the color and her heart sink when, she's coming to the realization that the person that she's purchasing gemstones from as a vendor is not being reputable with her.
Right. So, I mean, she was the one who got scammed as well. So I did show her the tester, and her husband's like, take a picture of that. We need that. And I told her, I said, in your business specifically, it is a big cost, but it will be worth it in the long run. So she took the information about the tester kit. And then I told her, I said, I'm here. I've got the kit here if you want to use it. And she was very grateful that, there were so many of her stones that she tested that she thought was real. They told her this was certified.
Yeah, probably a dozen pieces. And I'm assuming that she was getting them from the same vendor on all of the pieces. So it's hard to even determine, was that vendor the victim of this fraud as well, because she did have genuine rubies.
Absolutely.
And mixed in was a fake.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. She did have a real mystic topaz and a fake one. All came in, I'm assuming, at the same time.
Yeah. So I did let her, like I said, I let her use the tester kit, and she went through all of her trays, and she did pull the ones that were glass. And she was saying, like, well, I mean, I can still sell them as faux jewelry, because everything she had was set in silver. And so
and they were beautiful pieces. They were absolutely beautiful. She did great work putting the, setting all of the stones, and
she had some great settings, and so the artistry that she put into it, her work was absolutely stunning. It just, God, it broke my heart, because then her granddaughter, probably 15-ish, her granddaughter was sitting there and helping her go through and test the gems, and she's like, Grandma, you got scammed. There are so many. And it just breaks your heart. But I'm glad that we were able to go and help educate her so that hopefully she doesn't get scammed again.
Right. And we were able to, work with her, and, we had already committed to the purchase, and, we're going there and we're dropping this terrible news on her. And we don't want to be the victim of a scam either.
Right.
But there were multiple pieces that you had looked at and were interested in. So we were able to get it switched out with a legitimate piece.
So she still made her sales for the day, which was good. And we walked out with real gemstones, which is good too.
Right. So prior to that, earlier in the day, I was talking to a vendor at the Oddities fair. We had never been to anything like this. And, I walk in the door, and this is a really different, really cool kind of environment. It's, kind of a mix, goth, art fair, flea market, right? Yeah. It's just all sorts of crazy stuff with, animal specimens, the freeze-dried bat, and there were skulls and just all sorts of crazy stuff, all the way down to like your different anime type things, and just different curated flea market, basically. Very fun. We were able to find, I'm walking through and I saw the book sitting on the table there, and it's got the caduceus on it. And I thought, well, that's very interesting. I like selling old paper, different types of ephemera. And I look in it, the book says Kama Sutra. And I'm thinking, well, that's a very interesting medical book. I need to look more into this, right? So I open it up, and it says that it was printed in 1936.
Now, I was a nurse. So we have a collection of medical instruments, supplies, old photographs, things like that have to do with the medical field. So he's going, well, maybe we can add it to our own personal collection.
Right. So when I picked it up, I didn't know, are we going to try to sell this? Is this something that we're going to add to our own collections? I look it up. It's actually a very rare copy of a book produced in New York City. At that point in time, it was illegal to print or publish the Kama Sutra because it was considered to be
too risque,
to sexualize. There's no images in this. It's merely depictions, verbal descriptions of, from what I've read, basically how you're supposed to treat your spouse. Mm-hmm. So in very tame language, the same vendor, and I did find a comp on this online, sold for $120. So we paid $20. Very excited about it. The same vendor.
It's not going to end up in my personal collection.
The same vendor had a framed cabinet card of a bearded lady. Now, I see this. Again, it's an oddities fair. Completely expect to find this type of item. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at it, and it just doesn't seem right. It's a cabinet card, but the entire card and the photograph all have the same toning, and it's in a frame. So she offers to take it out of the frame, and the whole thing is more or less, the paper is like newspaper. It's not actually cabinet card paper. So for people that aren't familiar with cabinet cards were called cabinet cards because you'd put them on your cabinet and you would display them. So I have a stereo card here. It's going to be the same type of idea where it's the photograph mounted to a heavy piece of cardboard. Had this stereo card been real, had the cabinet card been real, it would have been in the $180 to $200 value. That they're rare. Mm-hmm. They would have been produced, P.T. Barnum or whoever was doing the circus and the sideshows. And again, highly collectible, very rare piece. She takes it out. It's an early reproduction on poor quality paper. She was asking $40 for it. It was probably worth $40. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm not in that market. Had I assumed that it was real, I would have made a very bad purchase. Mm-hmm. I passed on the item. Another thing that I wanted to show is, we sell postcards, and we've got this really great early Santa Claus. Everybody knows that Santa, anyone in the postcard industry knows that Santa Claus is highly collectible. And if Santa's in like an old world clothing, this one here, he's wearing a dark cloak, black or dark blue. And those cards are highly sought after and rare. I flip it over onto the back, though, when I purchased this as part of a lot, and I see it has a serial number. It also says that it was produced in 1989. So this is a reproduction card. Instead of being a $20 or $30 card, it's maybe $2 or $3, mm-hmm. if I can find somebody who's even interested. It is 30 years old, but it's imitating something else. And the other way that we could tell is the postmark, of course. This one's postmarked 1989 mm-hmm. versus a card that would have been from the era. And you can see that the backs, the stamps, all of it's different. So
right. They've got that 1 cent stamp on it. And...
Right. So unfortunately, there's not a hard and fast rule of detecting reproductions or flat out scam type products. It really all depends on the category and the type of product that you're looking at. For mm-hmm. the gemstones, you carry a kit.
I do. So my kit, like I said, whenever we go anywhere, I have my kit. It's super easy. We carry a backpack with us when we go because when we buy a bunch of stuff, we put it in our backpack. But in my kit, I have my magnet, which is just a simple way to tell if something is silver or gold when we're out and about. And then, of course, I have my Presidium. I always, when we're going to buy gemstone jewelry, I always ask them first if they mind if I use my gem tester, and usually they get very excited and they're like, "Oh no, I don't mind at all. What is that?" And then I'm able to kind of talk to them about it and
and we do explain that it doesn't damage the stone. It just
right.
It passes a small current through there, testing the resistance, and it determines the hardness of the
right.
mineral.
And it doesn't have every single stone in the world on it. So sometimes you do have to do a little more research to find out what the hardness is on that particular stone. And then, of course, I have my loop and my UV light. So again, like I was saying, with that sapphire, if it was genuine, the first thing I did was hit it with the UV light. It should have lit up, and it didn't. So that's a really quick, easy way, again, when you're out in the wild, to be able to tell if something is in the sapphire family. And then I have my scale as well. So again, if you want to know how much something weighs, then it's nice. And then all of that just fits in the same little box, the bag that the Presidium came in. So it's very portable. It's very easy to have, and it gives us that security to know that we're getting what we're paying for.
Right. So on the postcards, again, it's the same type of thing. We look for different attributes, though. We don't have a test kit per se. We do typically have a magnifier with us, so we can, use the lighted loop there, or the one that we have with our magnet. And I look at the front of the card, make sure that it looks like what it should. And again, the best way for us is through experience. The more of the item that we touch, the more educated we find ourselves. So you can get to the point eventually where you can identify those reproductions very quickly.
Yeah.
The surface on this card is very shiny, very slick. Whereas you can tell, I have a card here that's from the era. There's no gloss on that.
No shine at all.
No shine. So that's one easy way right there, right away, is you can see just based in the camera the difference in the lighting and that. Again, I do look at the backs. The one you can see has a serial number, probably can't see it.
There you go.
Has a serial number, has a manufacture date. So that's, again, and the paper toning, the age toning of the paper doesn't match what it should for something that's 100 years old. So those are just two ways that we can tell. Obviously, if there's any writing on it, and then the stamp, and then we do also sell the real picture postcards, and I should have pulled one out just to show, but I didn't. The imagery, much like this, right? So you can actually look at the image under magnification.
The silver tone of the RPPCs,
right? Right, and you can put that under magnification, look at the image, and you can see dots if it's been reproduced with like a lithograph or modern printing techniques, opposed to a real picture card, which would have very, very clear lines and very detailed, where you can actually magnify that 10 times, 20 times, and you don't get distortion.
Yeah, that's what oftentimes we'll take his RPPCs and we'll use the magnifying glass to try to get more details so that we can add those to the description and the title.
Right. So that's just a couple of things that we do with our ephemera as well to test it. So again, I would just caution everyone, especially this time of year, there's a lot of people out there selling stuff. They don't necessarily know what they have. The woman that had the card, the cabinet card, she didn't know what she had. She doesn't deal in cabinet cards. She thought it was interesting, and she bought it from an antique dealer. Yeah. So, that antique dealer, who knows how they represented it to her. She didn't know how to represent it to me, whether it was real or not. So just, take this as a cautionary note. If you're going to be selling something onto a customer, much like us, you're going to want to make sure that you're representing your product accurately.
When I sell my fine jewelry, when I sell my gemstones, I actually take a picture of me testing it with the Presidium right there in the listing, so that they can see that it is a legit gemstone. And I usually say that in my description as well, that all gemstones are tested with this Presidium tester. I am not a jeweler, I'm not a gemologist, but this
Right.
is what I have done, and I'm showing you that information.
Right. So we're not grading stones.
Mm-mm.
We're not giving you a color clarity, anything like that. But we do want to make sure that we're representing the product as accurately as possible.
Right. I'm not reading into it. I'm not saying things that I can't verify and back up, but I am going to tell you everything that I know about it.
So,
yeah.
Take care of yourself, take care of your business. Like and subscribe for us, please.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Good luck out there.
If you have any tips or tricks about spotting a scam or reproduction,
or a story that how you got scammed, because again, everybody's business is a little bit different. The things that we sell could very well be different than the things that you sell. So
yeah, drop that down in the message area, please, and we'll make sure we get back to you.
All right. Thanks.